Welcome to the Park Flyer Podcast, where we discuss the ups and downs of the new RC Flyer. Join your hosts, Michael and Jay, as they take flight at the park. Now on with the show.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Park Flyer Podcast. I'm Michael from Arizona, and with me always, my good friends.
Jay from the hills of Texas.
And AK Mike in Texas.
That was quite the intro there, Jay. You get excited about something?
I do. I get excited because we're going to talk about flying stuff as opposed
that's true
to,
too, I guess.
as opposed to like I don't know, fixing doorknobs or planing wood. We're talking about flying planes,
Pulling weeds.
So, yeah, I'd rather do that than chores around the house. So
No, I
I
hear
get a
ya.
little excited.
I do the same. Well, been a busy week for me. I don't know about you guys. Did you guys do anything special this week?
I did a bunch of stuff. I want to hear what you did,
What
though.
did you do? Well, I've got this L39 turbine project that I inherited kind of somewhat after the F-15 thing. I decided to jump into another turbine.
You had a
Wait,
recent
you're
judgment,
saying
is
that
what you're
with
saying.
lack of enthusiasm, like it's the L39.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's a lack of judgment. He
Okay, well,
Well, I
he was
can't-
under the influence.
I know, right? I can't get
The
too
gas
excited.
line broke in the house, and he got a little, tipsy. Didn't know what he was doing.
he left the plane there.
I know. It was, yeah, that's what I told everybody anyway. It just showed up here. No, whoever had it before, obviously these jets get passed around a couple of times. I think I'm probably the third or fourth owner maybe. Anyway, it's been, let me say, a hard landing previous to me.
Ish.
And yeah, it was a hardish landing. Pretty much ripped the gear right out of the airplane. So they did a repair, and I'm not going to throw anybody in the bus because I don't really know who did the repair. But the repair was not to my standards, basically.
You know who
and
you are.
Definitely. That's right.
Yeah.
If you're listening,
Yeah, we know who you are.
You know who you are.
And definitely not to Spencer's standards. Matter of fact, Spencer took one look at it and he just kind of shuddered and walked away. And I knew that was my cue to rip the landing gear and the landing gear mounts out and start over.
So
He didn't
when
really
you
even have
say-
to say anything. He just he looked at it and went, I was like, oh, great.
So, Mike, when you
So-
say rip out the gear, it's not like, once again, I since I've never worked on something like this, it's not like working in foam and you just rip it out. I mean, it's all epoxied in and
This is
reinforced
correct.
with, like, not just basswood, but, like, 2x4s. So, I'm thinking you need some real tools or
Yeah.
you got to router that out or I don't know.
Yeah.
Luckily,
so,
Jay,
it was interesting.
Luckily, he has skill sets fit for this very purpose.
I do. Yeah.
Destruction.
Yeah.
Yes, I can distract with the best of them.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
So interesting enough, I learned a couple of things actually. I will pass along. So this week, Spencer got his big, 1/6 scale F-16, and the guy that owned it before had reinforced it with carbon fiber. So he'd taken the carbon fiber and wrapped it around one of the intakes, and then just lacquered it up with epoxy. Now, I've worked with epoxy. I mean, Jay, you know that I don't react well to epoxy, so I try to stay away from it. I use mostly water-based type glues, or not the solvent type stuff, because I kind of blow
Tend
up
to
like
puff
a
up a
balloon.
little bit.
Mm-hmm. I do puff up a little bit. But anyway, I learned something new. Is that epoxy to me, when you put epoxy on, it's pretty much done. I mean, wouldn't you say? Have you ever unepoxied stuff? Like you can put, right? I mean, you can put you can put like debonder on CA and pull it apart.
Right. There is no epoxy debonder.
Yeah, there is.
Right. It's not
Yeah,
like
there
you can
is.
just-
It's called gravity.
it's called bad piloting skills. That's usually what does the disassembly.
Hey, now.
So anyway, my landing gear, to go back to what Spencer and I were doing, the landing gear had somebody had put carbon fiber over the pieces that were broke. So it busted out the pieces. The landing gear is fairly large because it's a 1/5 scale. So the landing gear is about the size of your forearm, and it's pretty big. I know, right? And so
Especially when you're looking at my guns. That's huge.
It is huge. So it fits in between these two wooden plates. And then usually on the wooden plates, they have a carbon fiber set that goes on the top. And then that's what gives it the strength. Well, they busted those out, and then they took all the pieces and they put them all back in, and then they epoxied them in, basically. And then to hold them together, they put carbon fiber around it. So back to what I was talking about, Spencer, that this guy had wrapped this big carbon fiber, and it's a sheet. It comes carbon fiber comes as a fabric in a little fabric sheet, and you wrap it around there, and then he epoxied it on there. So anyway, Spencer was not happy with that because it, A, didn't look very good, and B, it makes, believe it or not, carbon fiber does have weight to it, especially if you use a lot of it. And this guy had wrapped it around like an ace bandage, a couple times. And Spencer wanted it out of there because he uses carbon tow, which is incredibly strong, but, doesn't add it adds weight, but not much, just, a couple ounces. So I'm over there once again.
Carbon tow?
Yeah, I'll get to that.
Okay.
So I mentioned on the last podcast that I have been around these master builders. And I will tell you that my building techniques I thought were halfway decent until I got around guys that are in the, this larger scale master's class, Top Gun winners, that that kind of thing. These guys manufacture miniature things that are just amazing. They've got lathes and lasers and all kinds of stuff. So anyway, I'm looking at this project that Spencer brought in, and I said, "Oh man, that kind of stinks. You're going to have to buy a new intake." And he goes, "What, are you kidding me? No, we're going to take this carbon fiber off." And I got to look like Jay. I went, "Wait, what?" It's epoxied
That's
on.
a thing?
It's epoxied on. I mean, this guy's, it's a carbon fiber thing. And one of the other guys was over there, Wayne, and he's, master builder too. And so he and Spencer laughed. And I was like, okay, I got to see this, because I don't know. I mean, this is something that's new to me. I don't really deal with composites like these guys do. Sure enough, they come walking in there with this big F-16 and some channel locks, big, long needle nose pliers, and a heat gun. And one of them held the heat gun about, half inch from the carbon fiber and just held it there for a second. And then the other guy grabbed it with the big needle nose pliers and the channel locks, and about 30 seconds to maybe 45 seconds, ripped the carbon completely off.
Really?
So epoxy is heat. That's how it dries, right? It heats up. So when it cooks off,
it has
you mix it up, and then it gets
reaction.
Yeah, it's a reaction, correct. Well, you can reverse that reaction with heat. So when Spencer did this, I was like, no way. I have never seen that happen before. So when it was time for mine, we're looking in there, and he goes, yeah, you're going to have to redo all that stuff. So just go ahead and rip it all out. So I got the heat gun, stuck it in the wheel well, heated it up a little bit, although there's a little bit of caution. You can't just stick the heat gun in your wheel well. It will melt the paint on the other side of the wing. Don't ask me how I know that. And then, it softens up the carbon fiber, and carbon fiber came off, heated up the epoxy stuff. It got soft, took some channel locks, popped it right out. And next thing you know, I have a Colleen wheel well that is all cleaned up. I had to take a little Dremel tool and Dremel out some of the remaining epoxy that didn't come out. There was some Hysol in there, which is a aircraft grade epoxy that they use for, full scale stuff that we use in models. And they have these little diamond wheel kind of abrasive real coarse tips that go on the end of your Dremel tool, and I stuck it in there, and I was able to draw a line, and the wood that was in there, I just cleaned up around the wood and now made it exactly like it was when it came from the factory.
Wow.
So now I have the structure inside there, the little brackets that hold everything, and now I have to make the actual piece of wood that goes back in that holds the landing gear, the actual landing gear tray. So I, took the old stuff and I kind of traced it out, and I cut a piece that was a little bit larger, And then with a little sanding and a little bandsaw, a couple of markers, I got it to where it slides right in. And then I slid the other side in, and now it's a perfect fit. And the good news is when the gear retracts, the landing gear door can actually close because now the gear sits completely inside the airplane, where before it actually sat outside the airplane because they built up the stock landing gear thing, and so now it's taller, and they had to remove the gears to get the thing to actually sit, because the gear didn't retract all the way. It didn't lay inside the body like it's supposed to. It was actually protruding a little bit from the body itself. Anyway, it was a very interesting lesson. I learned a lot, and I'll pass that along to you.
So I just want to
fantastic.
say that I didn't notice any stopping for a safety moment, so that's good. I assume you have all your fingers after using the bandsaw, because a bandsaw could take your
Or
finger
the smoke
off.
detector didn't go off from the heat gun.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, I
So-
did not. I didn't get any blisters. I will tell you that I did run a piece of carbon fiber right into my finger.
Ow!
You can't
Okay.
see it.
You had to ruin
I'm
it.
showing
I
it
had
to
a
these
good
guys,
story.
but if you're listening to this, you
I
can't
had a
see
good
it. So.
story, and then you come and do that stuff. I don't know, Mike. I don't,
It was really tiny, though. It
Okay.
wasn't really.
like
oh, you
that
know what?
doesn't
Actually,
hurt
it wasn't.
more.
I know, but
Did
I
they
mean,
go
it
up
wasn't
under
like
your nail?
it was
Because that's I
No,
hate
it didn't
that.
go through the nail, just right beside it.
No, just under the nail.
Oh yeah, if it goes
Where
under
it
the
gets
nail, you're
stuck in a position where you
crying.
can't really get it out. You can't really see it because it's too small.
man.
It's like, ah.
Right.
Oof, that's the worst. I'm already getting the cringes from that.
I know, right?
Oh.
That's terrible.
Hey, so
So
AZ
yeah.
Mike.
So anyway, now my
uh,
landing gear is perfect.
So
That's
AZ
awesome.
Mike. So from what I'm gathering, you live in the perfect place for this type of operation.
What do you mean?
So all you had to do was just push the plane outside, because what is it, 114, 120? Put it outside for while you're doing whatever inside. Come back after half an hour. Pull the plane in, just rip all the stuff off that you want ripped off.
You know what's also
Yeah.
cool about that, Jay? Is you have a pan of biscuits
that?
too at the same time.
you can cook a cake out there if you wanted to. So you can work on your plane and have a snack. Unfortunately, 120 is not going to do it. You have to get the heat gun cranks up, to 850 degrees or whatever it does. I mean, it's pretty hot. It's hot enough that you can't touch the carbon fiber. That's why they had all the tools.
But you can still
'Cause
use the heat
you
gun to
don't wanna
make the
grab that
biscuits,
sucker.
right?
You could if you wanted
Okay,
to.
all right. I don't want to go hungry
We'll just set
here.
those outside. Yeah, just set the biscuits outside while you're working with the heat gun. But yeah, you definitely want to do that early in the morning or late in the evening, because doing it in the middle of the day with the heat gun, you're pretty much cooking yourself. But so anyway, I redid the landing gear on the L-39. So it's not mounted yet, but I remounted the two pieces of wood that are in there, and now the landing gear sits nice. I do have some new landing gear doors coming from Skymaster, so that's exciting. They should be here in a couple weeks, so we'll be able to mount those and get them to open and close correctly. And then the other thing I did for the first time was mount a canopy. I've never done that before either.
How,
So that
how
was
is
pretty
that
interesting.
different than whatever you've done before? I mean, what was special about it?
Well, so the canopy itself. Now I've made little plastic canopies, like to fold it over or whatever. I've never formed anything. Like some guys out there I know they have a forming table where they can take a piece of Lexan and then put it over a wood block, and it basically heats it up and stretches it, and then they've got this actual canopy. I've never really done that. I've had canopies that I had to install on airplanes, but this one actually came as a canopy frame, and it came as a piece of Lexan that was already formed. So now the two of them have to be, you have to cut the one to match the other. Well, the canopy frame for this L-39, because it's 1/5 scale, is once again the size of your forearm. It's the length of your forearm and probably about 6 inches, tall. So it's fairly large, but it's a floppy jalopy. The thing is made so thin that if you held it up, it's like a piece of wet noodle, and it has no strength to it. So the carbon weave, you've seen carbon weave, right, Mike? It's got the over, under.
Yeah,
if
just
you
like,
were
it,
to
like it looks like
pull-
fiberglass almost even.
Yes, it does. But the carbon fiber has a little bit bigger, right?
Right.
You can buy them in bigger squares. If you pulled one of those weaves out all the way to the very end, you basically have a ribbon of little carbon fiber strands.
Sure.
Okay. Then if you had 30 feet of that, that's called carbon tow. TOW.
Okay.
Not TOE.
I thought it was like toe of
So
your
it comes-
foot, and I was like, what?
No.
I don't get it.
TOW. So what happens is that once again, these guys, Spencer built this little machine, and you basically put the spool on one end, and then you loop it around like a sewing machine, and then it goes to this other end, and basically you clamp it, pull it, it goes off the spool into epoxy, comes out, squeezes the epoxy out, goes out the other side of this little mechanism, and then it spins on the side of a drill to make a rope. So it's a twisted, and it makes like a cord. But this thing has got like just a barely enough epoxy to get just the fibers wet. So then he takes 3 of these and then twists them together like a hemp rope, right? And then they're really tiny. I mean, they're about the size of maybe a number 2 pencil lead. And so, but it's 6 inches long. He cuts it, and then he lays it on the inside of the canopy frame on the edge. So he'll start in one corner, go down the canopy rail, go up over the little half circle, and then down the canopy rail, up over the half circle, and meet it again. Okay, so that's one piece.
And that becomes
Then
the
he
black,
takes this
the black part that you see on the canopy, right? Is that what you're saying?
Inside, there's a little, it's a corner, because then you take it and you mash it into the corner so that it's the rope is actually kind of flattening out, and now it's kind of shoved into the corner. When that stuff dries, you can almost stand on it. I mean, it is so strong, just that little bitty piece. So he uses that to wrap around the F-16 intake, and he got rid of the whole carbon fiber, block, and just wrapped this carbon
Sheet.
tow.
I think the term is sheet.
Okay, sheet, yeah. Well, this was multiple sheets. And so on his F-16 intake, he just wrapped it around a couple of times, made it like a little lattice work. And then now this thing is incredibly strong, and it gives just a little bit of weight compared to having the whole carbon fiber piece of fabric. So we did that to the canopy frame, and now the canopy frame is really rigid. Well, it still has a little bit of a twist to it, but once you put the plexiglass or this, it's not really plexiglass, it's Lexan. Once you put the Lexan in, the thing becomes like a rock. Once again, you can almost stand on the canopy. It's very strong. And, it's crazy how strong this thing becomes. But now you have to glue the Lexan inside the canopy frame. So they sell a special canopy glue. It's a Zap product. I like Zap glue. I've started using that. And then you put that in there. It's white, and it dries clear when it dries. So then you can put a little bead on the inside of the canopy rail where that carbon tow is, and then you cut the Lexan to sit right on top or right underneath that carbon tow, and then you clamp it all the way around, and then on the top I use magnets, these really heavy magnets that slam together, and it holds the canopy into the rail and glues it. So now I have a canopy that is clear and ready for the pilot so you can see through it. Anyway, it was interesting, I did it on my own. Spencer kind of walked me through it, and then I brought it all home and tried it myself. So it seems to work.
Maybe you can take a picture or two and put that on the Facebook page.
I will, yeah. I'll take a
That's a
photo.
great idea. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's neat.
Yeah, we can do that. But that was my airplane stuff, and then I was working on the trailer as well. So I got a couple of the walls put in, and a couple of the rails so far. So I'll throw some pictures.
So
up.
for just tell the listeners like what all you're doing with your trailer and where you're at and what you'd done.
So the trailer was it's kind of it's technically it's a 7x7x12, but they sell it as like a 8x8x12 because I think the outside is 8x8 and then it's 12 foot long, and so it's a tall trailer, and it kind of was a work trailer for a while. So anyway, I ripped all the walls out of the inside of it, and then I took the foil-sided foam, and I basically cut it and insulated the whole inside, top, bottom, sides, you name it. It's all been insulated.
And once again, being a guy from Alaska, the only time you insulate something is if you want to stay warm. And being that you're in Arizona,
I want to stay cool.
You want to stay cool. Okay.
Right. It's not that you stay warm or cool. It still gets hot in there, but what happens is that the temperature stays more consistent, right? Because you have a reflectivity on the outside of the trailer. I mean, if you walked into the trailer and you stuck your hand on the side of it, it's incredibly hot because it's aluminum, and aluminum heats up in the summer heat. So what happens is you put this foam insulation that you can buy at Home Depot. I think that runs $8 or $9 a sheet, and then basically it creates an air. It doesn't go all; it goes to the wall, but there's a little air between the wall and the foam, and then you have foam, and then a silver reflectivity on the inside, and then I have tape. Reflective tape that holds it all in, and then I put whiteboard, the stuff. I call it whiteboard, but it's actually what I tell you it was, Jay. You can write on it and erase dry erase board. So it's the white dry erase board, and then I take those and I put them, in there, and then they sell this really cool colored electrical tape. I bought some white, and then I put it down the seams where they match, and then now you have a white trailer inside. I have some E-track that I put, vertical E-track, and then I can have shelving in there that I can adjust. So I'll have 3 shelves and then a little workspace in front of the shelves, and that way I can fit 2 of the turbine. I can put 4 turbines in there basically, and then all my foam airplanes, and make one trip to the field instead of dragging only 1 or 2 airplanes out on the floor of the trailer. So that's what I was in the process of doing. And once again, go to our Park Flyer Podcast Listeners Group Facebook page, and you can kind of see what the trailer project looks like. Well, I know Jay was trying to do something too, but his trailer was a little bit different than mine.
A little bit different, and I'm still a little bit behind you in the fact that I'm still deconstructing mine because it's put together a little weird. So...
Well, mine actually, because it's so large, the deconstruction phase was fairly easy because I just pulled all the wood off, and there's nothing behind the wood. The other thing that I did was I upgraded all my marker lights to LEDs. So those are all new LED lights in there, which makes it really cool too. Excellent, so they're much brighter.
So how much longer do you think it's gonna take you to actually finish this thing up?
Well, the next phase, I was able to, these sheets come as 48 feet wide and, 4 foot wide and 8 foot long. I had to cut them on the 8 foot or on the 4 foot section, so they're shorter. And then, I could only put 2 in, and then now I have to rip one the long way to go where the door is and where the in front of the trailer is. And so, I have to wait until I get back. I don't have a table saw, so I have to wait till I get to Spencer's to do a table saw thing. And so it was probably going to be probably another couple of weeks before I get all of the walls and the E-tracks and all that stuff in there. Once I do all that, I do have a vinyl floor that I'm going to put in. And then I've got some LED lights that are going to go up in the ceiling along the way.
So why are you going to put vinyl floor on there? I mean, is that just to make it so it's easier to slide stuff on, or you don't get splinters, or what's the reason?
Well, there's a wood floor in there right now, and I think just to kind of finish it off, make it look nice. It does have it's you know what a coin vinyl is? You ever heard of that?
No.
It's a gray vinyl that has about a quarter size bump on it, and they're all lined up like quarters laying on the floor.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Mine is a dime size. Spencer's is a quarter size, but mine is a dime size because I wanted more traction on mine, and that way I can sweep it out a little bit better. But it just makes it a non-skid, anti-slip type floor. Things don't slide
totally
around on it as much.
Yeah, that totally makes sense.
Yeah.
So you
and it's easy to clean because I can just sweep it out.
Yeah. So you said you used whiteboard. Is that because you want to put like, this is my pits and this is my EDF and this is, I mean, what?
Hey, that's right. So next time we come down, we can all draw a little thing like I was here.
Yeah.
And
Mike was
that'd give
here
me a heart
or
attack.
something.
little,
AK
little
Mike was here.
catchphrases and
Yeah.
stuff in there.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
We-
No, the reason I just use whiteboard is most of us down here, it's inexpensive, compared to some of the other mediums. You could use wood, but then you got a wood. This makes it look like an actual room. It's white. I mean, you don't have to. I'm not going to write on it, but it's real shiny, slippery. If something gets on it, you can just wipe it off. It just makes it clean, and I'm constantly hanging around OCD.
Really, what I
guys
thought you were going
anyway,
to do
so
is you're
this
going to do like a
something-
measurement so that you show how tall you get over the years, or in this case, you're going to start shrinking.
yeah,
I guess.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, I just measured my airplane to see how big it gets, and when it gets
That's
too
right.
big,
Yeah, there you
to
go.
fit the trailer, I have to
Oh,
lower the
yeah, this is
trailer.
my 6-foot wing. Okay, yeah, put that over here. Yeah.
Well, the funny part is I ran over yesterday to pick up my L39 from Spencer's, and we had been working on it, and I was in a hurry, because we were on the way somewhere, and so I just grabbed it, wings and all. I never took the wings off, so I just walked the whole airplane into the trailer, and my wife was with me, and she's standing at the back of the trailer, and she goes, that thing takes up the entire trailer, right? So the wingtip was exactly almost 7 feet across, and the airplane was almost the length of the trailer, short by about 4 feet. So it's almost 10 feet long and 7 feet wide. I mean, it's a pretty large airplane. And anyway, with the wings and everything on inside the trailer, it was literally the only thing that could fit in there. So
Well, yeah, honey, that's
my
why I
wife
have
just
3
kinda shook her
levels
head.
to my trailer. Hello.
Right, that's exactly what I told her. I was like, well, that's not a problem because I'm going to put
Hello?
3 shelves in here. Anyway, it was funny. She just shook her head. She was like, huh. Because she knows
Mike,
there's
I just
2
want to
more
say
in
this
there.
on the air. She loves you.
She does.
She
I have the
loves
most
you.
supportive wife.
Yeah.
She's a listener, so just, honey, I love you. Thank you very much for
That's not a
supporting
suck up
me and
either.
my-
I know she does. 'cause-
No.
Aw. Hey, speaking of airplanes, since you had to drive down to Spencer's, did you stop by, what was it, not Greyhound, Greyhound.
Oh, yeah.
Find out about your plane. What's going on with that saga?
Oh, you had to bring that up, didn't you?
Of course I did.
Well, so I had a A4. It was a.
That was supposed to be your first. That was supposed to be your first.
It was supposed to be
turbine
the
jet,
first turbine, but Spencer and I were gonna build one together, and he promptly sold his like 2 days after we got
right?
him.
Yeah, I was going to say like a day or
And
two
I'm
after
like,
you got
what the
back
heck?
from the jet festival,
He's
right?
like, well, I'm not really an A4 guy, and I wound up getting an F18, so I want that. And I was like, okay, well, I got to get rid of my A4. So I've been trying to sell that thing forever, and finally someone expressed some interest in it. Well, it's large too, right? And it's still in the box, and so I boxed it all up, and I had a buyer, and the guy, basically, most people ship their big jets because it's almost 76 inches long. So most everybody ships it via Greyhound. So I was nice enough to, just run down to my nearest Greyhound, put it on the bus, and told the guy, hey, I'll be there in a week.
Yeah, because he lives like down the road from me.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, it does. So anyway, yeah, it's been like 3 weeks, and we haven't heard anything from Greyhound. The
Crickets.
last we know,
Crickets.
it was in Vegas. We're not really sure where it left Vegas. So,
Oh yeah,
Party!
Vegas is directly in line with Arizona to Texas.
yeah, it's a
via
direct link.
Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
ABC
So,
News
yeah, I'm not
has
really sure
wants to
where it
report
went.
that this A4 airplane is out partying with the rest of the planes.
That's right. Well, that was where the Navy got in trouble, wasn't it, in Vegas?
Yeah.
Did I say that on the air? Sorry about that, guys.
I don't know.
We appreciate your service. But anyway, yeah. So we're not really sure. I've put a couple of calls in, and unfortunately, I'm frustrated. He's frustrated because he wanted to come. He was going to drive out here and pick it up, and visit the Pima Air Museum. And his name is Ed. And man, I feel bad. I really do. But I will tell you that from here on out, there is a company called U Ship, the U, letter U, and a ship. And they've got a website that puts you in basically in touch with truckers, transportation people who have empty space in their trucks and are having to relocate, from one spot to another. So basically, if somebody's going from Arizona to Texas, I can call them and say, hey, if you've got a room on your truck, they'll charge me X amount of dollars, and I can throw it on the truck, and then they'll deliver it when they get down there. They'll call the recipient and say, okay, I got something on my truck that belongs to you. So if you want to meet me here, and evidently it gets done because you're dealing with an individual, not a corporation, and evidently that's the new thing as opposed to Greyhound, because even Spencer has some nightmarish stuff about his planes going all over the country.
Hey, AK Mike, isn't that how you moved from Alaska down here?
What,
Greyhound?
No.
No, on like a U-ship or...
Oh, it kind of was like that.
The
They put my stuff on a pallet, and then they just put it on. It sits in their warehouse until their truck fills up, and then they basically it's a consolidator.
Yeah.
Is what they are.
Yeah, I think that's what U-Ship is too, a consolidator.
But it seems like
All right,
U-Ship
so-
is doing it in a little more organized fashion in terms of like keeping in touch with people and letting you talk to them directly.
Yeah, I think so. It's not
Sounds
like you
like-
drop it off at some place. I
Right.
think I'm not really sure how it works because I haven't used it, but I did get a bunch of comments because I made some distressful or stressful comments on RC groups that were kind of like, oh my gosh, and people are like, yeah, you should use U-Ship. It's much better. So we'll probably do that in the future.
Well, in the meantime, you went downtown. So did you finally find this lady who won't return your phone calls, or?
I went down and talked to a lady. It wasn't the lady I was dealing with, but I have to go back down there and talk to her. So I was supposed to do that today, and I wound up working on the trailer instead. So I did.
Oh, okay.
Don't tell Ed that, but yeah. Anyway.
Oh, I thought you went and talked to her today. That's why.
No, unfortunately, I didn't get to. So it was super hot. But so anyway, that was my whole saga for the week. I mean, who would have thought? So.
Exactly.
Yeah. I learned some new skills, so that was good news. I'm always
Right.
looking to add new skills to my repertoire of building, and I learned that you can get epoxy. Not really epoxy. You can't melt the epoxy, but it'll soften. So now I will tell you that if you did a super good job and did it correctly, it wouldn't come off as easy. I think these guys used 5-minute epoxy on it, but
Thank
if
goodness.
you use 5 or 30-minute epoxy, I think you're gonna have a little bit harder time getting it off. But if you use that 30-minute, or if you use something that was supposed to use, then like a resin or whatever, then you would do it correctly, as opposed to just laying it on there and slapping some 5-minute epoxy on it. So yeah,
Cool.
yeah, it's pretty neat.
So AK Mike, you were working on a couple of projects. I think from when you were down here visiting me, I think you finally finished one of them.
Yeah. So when I was visiting Jay, I had a problem with one of my escapes on my big wing, and it's basically my tough wing, and so we wanted to fly it really badly, so we put a 40 amp escape I had in it, and I was like, Jay, I don't think this is gonna work. He's like, it'll be fine, they got some leeway.
Leave it to Jay. It'll be okay.
It'll be okay. And I was like, I don't know. So I put my watt meter on it just for fun, and I ran it up, and it was like 60 amps.
Of course.
Not even run up the whole way, right? And so
It
he's
was
like,
50 amps, not 60.
it was 60 amps when you hit the top a couple times. Anyway, so we were like, I just won't run it full throttle. That's fine. I can run my stuff half throttle. That works okay. And I was able to. The thing that we didn't really count on was that it overheated even at half throttle. And so it shut down. It basically stopped flying. I was like, oh, that's not good, because I lost, I think, twice flying it that day, Jay? We were in front of. So anyway,
it went to it's thermal protection, and
we never,
basically,
thermal
surprises you
protection
every
kicked in,
time.
but we never lost it. It always landed where, luckily one was right next to the fence, so I could reach under the fence and grab it, pull it back. It was a barbed wire fence, so it wasn't like really dense fencing. It was just really open, and I was able to get my arm in there. And then the other
No
time
llama
was in the
attack.
middle, was in the
Well, the
middle of
fence
field.
the fence that you stuck your arm under is where all the llamas are.
Oh, no.
That's why
in
that's
this
why it's a
case-
barbed wire fence.
No. In this case, the llamas weren't anywhere near there. They were.
Yeah, they
Oh,
were
okay.
good.
So that's why I said
No, it
no llama attacks.
Oh, no llama
You
attack. Yeah,
skated.
sorry, I couldn't. I
No,
couldn't.
no llamas came over and spit in his face.
Didn't spit in your face. Hey, I've actually had that happen to me before when I was a kid.
Did you? That's gross.
I was at the zoo Yeah, I was at the zoo and I was making noises at the llama and they spit on me. So
That's-
it was so gross.
You probably deserve that. Yeah.
I did.
What'd your old
deserve it,
man
but
say? Well, that's what you get.
He laughed. He laughed. My mom was mortified, but he
So,
laughed.
so
my
once
gosh.
I put the 60 amp in there, and it reminded me that I don't do that very often, because it took me way longer than it should have to solder that thing back.
To put
on
the
there.
ESC in?
To put my 60
Why is
amp,
that?
put the ends on there. Mostly because I don't do it often enough, and I don't have this like muscle memory for it. I've done a bunch, and so it's just like struggling. It's like, oh yeah, I gotta tin it first. Oh yeah, I gotta put some more solder in there first. Oh yeah, I gotta. It's just stuff I just know how to do, but it's not part of my.
You just haven't done it in a while.
Yeah, it's not habit. Wasn't habit formed in terms of doing it. So I struggled with it for a little bit, and finally by the last barrel connector, I was like, I got this. Oh, that was the last one. Oh, okay, great. So
Well, there's actually a positive to take away from that.
what's that?
In the fact that the reason that we were soldering in the very beginning so often is because our products were not lasting very long, right?
That's true.
I mean, we crashed a lot of airplanes early on, and you were having to, put new parts on it, and ESCs were one of the
Well,
ones that you were
Jay,
parts, so you got to
Jay and I
solder
found out
more
this
often.
particular problem was actually me having crashed it a couple times. The capacitors basically ripped out of the unit, so they would work
Right.
for part of the time, but then if it got heated up or whatever, and it would stop working, and so it was failing.
Yeah, go figure.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying that now you're not crashing things as much, so you're probably not soldering as much as
true.
you were
That's
were
true.
back when you were having to fix everything
Yeah.
every
that's
time you
true.
went and flew.
Yeah.
Now you can go several
was every time, too.
months without. I know, right? I had those days in the early years.
Sure. So yeah, as you say, the upside is that I don't have to do it very often, so that's why I don't remember. Let's see what else.
Well, I noticed something else about
what?
I was going to say I noticed something else about that story, and that was that you didn't call AZ Mike or myself for any advice
That's
Well,
true.
or help.
I
You were
just-
able to
you
do
did
it
it
all on your
all
own.
by
I just
yourself.
recalled the advice that you gave me after I did it the first time. After I did it the first time.
After the fact. You're like, oh yeah, you're supposed to put the
Oh yeah, I
solder
remember
in the
after
barrel.
I did this the first time, they said these things, and so
Right,
I
exactly.
just had the same conversation, but without you guys. That's all.
Actually,
you go. There you go.
that's good though, because I just got a text actually on your painting, and you finished up some of the painting as well without our help.
That's true.
Well, I guess now that we told you the other side, right? You went and
yeah,
did some more stuff.
Well, although I'd hoped for more success, and I felt like I was very careful about what I was doing, but I still got paint on the unpainted portions. You guys can't
Right.
see it, but I can show you when I painted the blue on the middle part where the engines are. The listeners can't see it, but you'll see that there's some blue on the very front of the gold here.
right.
Oh.
And it,
How'd you do that?
how'd
just
you do
because the pieces of paper I had weren't covering it quite enough. I had a piece of paper sticking
okay,
out, and
okay.
but I'm just going to call it weathering and leave it there. And
Blue
it's-
weathering.
it's consistent
Blue
across
weathering.
both of them.
I
so
flew
it
through
looks
some blue sky and got
it's
blue
like
weathering on there.
like I did it on purpose, So I'm just going to leave it like
Right.
that.
There
I
you go.
think
So
instead of painting
just
over
fly
it.
faster. Every time you come
Fly
past
faster,
the audience
yeah.
or people, just fly faster. And
No,
zoom,
what it is that there's blue. It's blue. It was the old paint was blue, and now that I put the gold over it, but because of the weathering, it's blue underneath again. You see, that's how that weathering
there
works.
you
Yeah,
go.
that's smart.
I like
So
that.
anyway, so I finished that part of the tail. I haven't decided yet because you talked about the tape sticking to the paint and stuff. I haven't decided if I'm going to try to paint 3 colors on the tail, because that's a lot of work. I mean, it's a lot of work.
Yes, we know.
Yeah, so I could do 2 colors and it would be less work. I think it will be
true.
less work too if I'm careful. I can put the tape really close to the blue edge, not on it, like have the paper touch level with the blue edge, and then tape it down with only a 1/8 of an inch of tape sticking out of the paper, and then that way it just stays. It gives me a 1/8 inch gap between the colors, so I can put
Right, and you can stick
Yeah.
some tape in between them.
yeah, put some tape there. but I have to cover the original part that I painted already. So either I can use those Fisker plastic things that
Frisket.
Frisket
film.
Yeah. And I could cut some designs out that way, and that's some work too, because you got to cut it out, and you want to make it consistent, so you got to cut them both at the same time, or you got to, I don't know, it's just a lot of work. So I haven't decided yet if I'm going to do that, but I probably will. But it's just like, it's so painful.
Don't, once again, let's not get stressed out about this. Just do one or two colors and just kind of follow that theme that you have right now.
Yeah.
And if you paint 3 colors like you have back there, just break them out over the plane where you're just painting once and they're not overlapping. And it'll still look good.
No, I know. I'm not trying to give it to overlap.
This is a good segue for this. This is a good segue for the Frisket film.
Okay.
Because you can buy Frisket film in multiple mils. You can buy a 2 mil, 5 mil, 6 mil, 10 mil, 20 mil. And so, they come in different, most of the ones that they sell are either a 5 mil, 7 mil, or 10 mil, which is the thickness. And if you get the really light stuff, it's not, you can use a pair of scissors and just cut your, you can actually draw something because it's clear. You can lay it down on your airplane. You can draw what you want, cut it out, and cut out in the middle of the Frisket film with an X-Acto knife. That way you can lay the whole Frisket film over all of the paint and just paint that little negative in there. And you can actually paint right on the paint, close to the paint, close to your line, make a line, not make a line, doesn't matter. But it's, it works really well. And if you're camouflaging or putting stripes or whatever, that it does work really well. And it does keep the paint, because you're not really heavily spraying it. You're just spraying it real light.
Right. Unfortunately for me, I put the stabilizer on there before I really finished the tail, and I should have done that because I didn't think I was going to paint it at the time I did that. And then I was like, oh, you know what? I should paint this thing. And so now the stabilizer's in the tail section, which makes it more work because you got to cut around that stuff and flop it in there.
Well, they paint real airplanes with all that stuff still together too. So,
but they know what they're doing.
This is true, and they're using lasers.
So that's right, exactly. So anyway, so I finished some more of that, and it's really coming together pretty nice. It's not going to be the best plane ever painting. It's not going to win any prizes at all, I guarantee. But it's my first go at it, and it's been interesting to try stuff out. Like I should have painted it before I put the motors in. I should have done. There's a bunch of stuff I should have done, but
yeah, sure. Well, the good news is that you decided to tackle this, which is, kudos to you. There's a, big respect going out because a lot of people just wouldn't do it. And, this is something new that you haven't done before. And you've kind of stretched your limit and said, this is something you weren't comfortable with. But now you're starting to kind of see it. You make mistakes. Trust me, in the early years of doing all this, I made a ton of mistakes. But over time... Jay too, he's pointing all his in the back. But over time, it gets easier and easier because you understand. And talking to us, or picking our brains for ideas, even though sometimes it's after the fact, where we go, why'd you do that? You should have done this and this. And you're like, oh, man, why didn't you tell me that before? Well, it's because I'm not standing there. You're doing it on your own, and we're kind of letting you figure it out because it's more of an bigger impression when you make the mistake and then go, well, how do I fix this?
Negative reinforcement. Make sure you remember.
Jay's good at it.
One cool thing that came out of this, when I don't know if I put pictures out of the red and gold, the front part of the cowl or the nacelles has gold, but when I did it, one of the sides had a gap and the other side didn't. And I was like, oh man, I could have. I did one side like really awesome. It looked great. It was all matched up and everything, and the other side had this big old gap. So I was like, what am I gonna do? Then I just decided I was going to take the accent color, which is blue in this case, and I just put a pinstripe of blue around it to cover up the gap. And it looks like I did it on purpose.
Smart, dude. No,
yeah, that looks good. That's great. That's excellent.
So that's kind of cool, and that worked out nicely. And then I thought, well, I can fix some of these things with a brush. And I thought, if I do that, it's going to end up look like a brush mark. So I can't do that really. If I have some, parts there, the tape pulled off some of the tape or whatever. I just decided, you know what?
You know what though? But
I'm gonna leave it like that.
Sometimes you can do that because once again, it's a smaller plane and it's
Right.
flying. You won't see, you see it more like if I came in and was just oh dude, and I had to do this and you had to point to it and show me. More than likely, I would never even notice it.
Yeah, and so hang arrest is going to cause some of that stuff too. And so, yeah,
True.
in the end, it's like, I don't,
So,
I'm not Spencer level.
Another
of
thing that you can
care.
do, another thing you can do that I'll pass along, Mike, is use a Q-tip.
What do you mean, to put paint on the Q-tip and then rub the Q-tip on it?
Don't rub it, dab it.
Oh, okay.
Just dab it,
Well, good.
and
That's
then you don't have the
actually
brush.
before.
You
That's
don't have the
awesome.
brush. Once
You
again, after the
bastard.
fact, right?
No,
Once
but it's
again, you
before.
bastard.
That's before I just gave up completely. So that's awesome.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, so you gave up, and now we just gave you something before it happened. Yeah,
Yeah,
before
yeah.
you use the brush,
Yeah.
just get a Q-tip. Just touch the tip of the Q-tip
Progress.
in there, and then just dab it because
give it a
you want
shot.
it to be really light. Don't push on it and get it to run in a big puddle, but you just want to dab it. Dab, 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 dab. Push the Q-tip through the foam, and then you shouldn't have any brush strokes. But you should be able to fix if you want to fix the blue overspray, you can do that as well with the gold.
I have decided I want to. I feel like it's gives it some character, even if
Okay,
it's
well.
not really that scale or anything. But that's my it has a good story. I feel like it was
no, it
blue
has
and
a
now
good
it's
story.
gold and that's just weather. That's fine.
It knocked the paint off and I get
Yeah,
it.
whatever.
But you could do if you did that, you could actually take that Q-tip.
Oh, that's a good
and just
idea.
kinda touch
Maybe
that
I
a
will
bit.
consider that because I think I'd like to consider that for the inside where the engines are, where the fan blades
Mm-hmm.
are. I didn't get quite the gold all the way to that point, and I could see where I
Sure.
might be able to use a Q-tip and just sort of roll it along a little bit like a roller.
You can do that.
And kind
Yep,
of roll
you
it
can do
along
that too.
to see if that works.
Yep.
And
Yep.
hopefully don't get it on any of the
See, there you go.
fan. So anyway, so that's that. And then let's see what else did I do. I built a helmet.
Yeah,
Helmet.
that was for your
I built a
helmet for
helmet.
your motor or motor
For my paramotor. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, paramotor helmet.
Yeah, we were working on that down here.
Yeah, on my solo flight, I flew with my helmet, and then just like shooting range earplugs because I didn't have my ear
Oh,
covers
right.
on my helmet yet, and so my neighbor is really good with tools and stuff, and so he helped me make sure that it was measured up right, and we measured 5 times, not just twice. Measured twice, cut once. We measured
Yep.
5
Yeah,
times.
You measure 5
And-
times and then cut once. That's
And
good.
yeah, and he drilled that thing out, and he did a really good job. And I mean, I don't know. I might have been able to do that on my own, but I probably would have gave up halfway through or something and just said,
Sure,
forget it.
sure.
It's just going to be lopsided. I don't care. But
That's
it looks
pretty cool.
really nice. He did a really good job, and it looks really
Well,
nice.
you have a trip coming up too, I think.
Oh yeah, I do.
We need to reach out. Yes.
Well, wait, we have that in the budget for that? What, isn't it like 4 trips you've done this year?
I know. He's just Mr.
I
Trippy.
dug deep into my points.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, gotcha.
His
Found a
airline
way
points.
to pay for this trip with my points.
And we
Well,
appreciate
then,
it.
the Park Flyer podcast, guys, we applaud your efforts.
That's right.
Thanks.
So the Holly Springs, it's the Holly Springs yearly event, right?
Yep. This is the charity event for, I think it's called Meg Smiles. I might get that wrong.
Nope, Meg Smiles. That's
Yeah.
Doug
Meg Smiles
Leroy and his
Foundation.
group down there.
Yep.
Right.
And
Right.
I just got on Eventbrite and signed up for it. It was perfect and easy to do. So now I'm registered, ready to go down there.
So it's called the Wings Over Springs Charity Electric Fly-In for 2019. It's Saturday, the 31st of August, 2019. The gates open at 8 p.m. with a pilots meeting at 9:30, and you can register to be a pilot at hssrcg.org. The public is welcome, starting at 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., and all the proceeds benefit Meg Smile Foundation. You can go to www.megsmile.org for that as well. And last year you were able to go, correct?
No.
We sent you there last year, I think.
No.
The year before. You didn't? This is your first time?
It's my first time. I was just happened to be at Holly Springs 2 years ago. My brother lives in that same area, and I was visiting my brother. And so that's when I met Doug. And
that's right.
And then so we had this conversation, and Doug said, "Yeah, you should come out for the thing." And I tried to come out, but I couldn't work it out. And so I promised him this year that I would come out and go to flying. So that's what I do.
Well, they do they do a really good job. They do a video. I think we have one. At one point, I think they sent us a video.
And I don't remember the numbers. And maybe we can get Doug to come on and talk about it. But if I remember right, the numbers are pretty big for their attendance for a thing like that. So it's only third year, I think, or something, fourth year.
That's
I don't
amazing.
know. They've been at not very many. They've only done it a couple times.
Right.
So you get to see your brother, and you get to go to this event. So you get to roll two things into one, huh?
I'm actually going to go see my father too.
Oh,
well, see, I don't feel so bad that he had to dig for the points because he's visiting family.
Quite frankly, I don't take this personally, Doug, but it's really a trip about my family, and then I'm gonna be there. At the
that's
same
right.
Time, so.
And he's gonna go have fun. That's what I'm gonna. That's the way to do it. So.
Yeah, I'm gonna have fun while I'm having fun.
Bringing?
So that's the idea.
I know, right? Well, so Doug Leroy has been on before, and he and I think Jason Getchman both put a fantastic event on. They've talked real highly of it when we've talked to him about it. The video that I did see from last time was just phenomenal, and they do get a big turnout. From what I remember when he was on before, he was saying that they get quite the turnout. So having the public invited is a really good deal too, because it kind of they do a good job, interacting with the public and teaching them more about the AMA and the how to what it takes to fly, and maybe they increase their membership with it too. You never know.
And I don't want to cheat Doug out of some of the things that are going on there, but one of the things I saw that I didn't know was there. They have I think it's called 3GPP, where they
drone racing.
The drone racing, yeah.
Right.
And so I'm like, wow, that'll be cool. So I'm interested to see what that looks like, and yeah, it should be fun. I think we'll have a good time.
Good.
What plane are you going to bring out?
I am going to bring out.
Funracer?
Yeah, the Funracer. Thanks. Funracer. Sorry, my brain just turned off completely.
He was so excited going through his list of airplanes that he's going to bring. Like, oh man, I can't bring that one. It's too big. Oh yeah, that's not that one either. So you're going to bring the Funracer out.
Yeah, my Funracer, and maybe the Talon. I might bring the Talon out and let people take rides. I was thinking about doing that.
Do you have a spare set of goggles or whatever that you can?
No, I'll just give them my goggles and I'll fly it while they.
Oh, and you fly it. I got
take a ride.
That's kind of cool.
They have to have bad eyesight though, because my goggles have extra added vision.
Glasses in them.
I could probably take off that piece anyway. Now that I think about it.
Yeah, you might, but if they have drone racing over there, I'm sure somebody over there has goggles that you can just flip to your channel or whatever.
True.
So.
Yep.
Just make sure that you're not flying that thing while they're drone racing. I can hear a lot of angry drone pilots if you're if you're on their frequency and all of a sudden they're looking at your plane and not their drone.
Well,
because can't you see if you're on the wrong, and if the frequency if they get too close?
Yeah, it would. It would. That would happen. Yep.
Yeah.
So
that's funny.
Yep, that could be good.
Well, Jay, we don't really care what you did this week because we're out of time. But
well, that's good because I didn't do anything this week.
I know it's hard to believe this. We get together, we start chit chatting about what we did, and we barely get through our hour. So, it's pretty sad.
Poor kid.
Well, we're excited that you're going to be there. There's some interviews I think set up. We've got another podcast coming out between now and the 31st, I think, is when it happens.
The end of the month, yeah. So maybe we can get Doug on and can talk about it a little bit.
Yeah. If we don't, we'll talk to him beforehand and see what all's going on, and then kind of report on it. So, and then I think after you get back, we'll have some interviews from down there, and I think everybody will have a good time.
I think it's you said it was 5, or what was it? 8 to 8 or 8 to 5 or something?
Well, the public is invited from 10 to 2, I believe.
Well, whatever the length of time is, I'm sure that'll be 10 minutes for every hour that I'm there. You know what I mean? Because I want to have fun some of the time. So.
Yeah, and that's tough, and we totally get it. If you're trying to do interviews and fly at the same time, it's a little troublesome.
You can't do that. It's too hard.
We had that problem at the
we did
at the Electric Festival.
Yeah,
because we were out flying.
Hold this microphone. I gotta go fly.
Stuff.
Yeah, hold this microphone.
Right,
I'm gonna go
exactly.
fly. You can say stuff if you want. We'll record it if we like it. Yeah.
Correct. Well, it sounds like you need some assistance, so we'll find you some travel buddies to go out there and fly with.
Hey, if you can work that out, that'd be great.
Well, that's their annual event, and definitely they put on a good one. So if you're in the Holly Springs area, Doug Leroy and his group there will put on the charity event, and make sure you stop by and tell them that the Park Flyer podcast sent you. Because Mike's going to be out there signing autographs.
Yeah, I'm going to sign autographs for the thousands of people that are going to line up.
and kissing babies.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to stand in front. I'm going to stand at the line where they're paying, and that's the picture I'm going to take. It's like, yeah, these are people waiting for my autographs. Woo!
That's right. Oh, that's too funny. Well, what's up for this coming week, Jay? Since you didn't do anything last week, you got something lined up. You're still working on your trailer.
Still working on the trailer. I'm working on getting parts for my 3D printer.
Well, that's right.
I still have to maiden a plane or two, so hopefully the weather will break a little bit, and I'll get out there and go fly.
Well, we should all do that. Yeah, I didn't have a chance to go fly this week either because it was just too hot, and I was working. So kind of we'll get back out there, though. So
yeah. I think Mike's the only one who actually got to do anything this week. Well, it wasn't even RC related, but at least he got out.
Yeah, you get to go out and do your
flying.
I flew a couple more flights. Yep, a couple more solo flights in. Yep.
That's good. I did actually get to fly as well, but it was in a full scale, not a.
Oh, that's right. You had your ferry stuff that you did.
Yeah, one of my buddies had a really expensive airplane that he doesn't let anybody fly, and he came to me and asked me if I would take it to Florida for him. So I volunteered to do that, and flew it across the country from Arizona to Florida, and it was.
And didn't you have to? And didn't you have to almost have to take a Greyhound yourself? And they were gonna send you up to Alabama.
Oh yeah, that was
to go down to Miami or something.
That's a whole nother story.
Crazy like that.
It would have been really funny if you got to wherever, and then it's like, hey, that's my plane.
Yeah, no doubt. I landed in a little town called Plataka. Anyway, it's just north of Orlando, and I had to figure out a way from there to Orlando. And the rental car place said, "Yeah, we're out of cars," so that kind of hosed me. And so I ran over to the train station and bought a train ticket to get down there because I was trying to catch a flight back to Arizona. And the lady goes, "Hey, now that you bought your ticket, the train is 5 hours delayed." So I was like, "Oh, well, how about a Greyhound bus? You guys, it's only 2 hours down the road." She goes, "Yeah, we can sell you a ticket. You got to go to Jacksonville and change buses." I was like, "Dude, I'm not going northbound to go southbound. That's stupid. I mean, it's like an hour hour and a half to Jacksonville, wait for an hour, and then go." I wouldn't have got to Orlando till midnight.
Yeah,
so I told her, I was
and
like,
once you got up to Jacksonville, didn't you have to it was like a 3 or 4 hour, 5 hour delay? Not delay, but it was
they were late.
Yeah,
to change. It was like an hour and a half wait, but they were already late. The bus was late. It was going to be late. So the bus wasn't going to get there till the same time the train was, and then it was like, okay, do I take the train? Anyway, finally the rental car place called me and said, "Hey, we have some cars that got delivered earlier, so if you want the car, come get it." And I was like, "Oh, that'll work," because I was just looking for a way, to get down back.
Yeah, you'd still
back
be there if you didn't get that car rental.
Yeah. Anyway, it was funny. So it was a good time though. I had a good time. I got to stop by our alma mater. I stopped by Louisiana Tech.
Huh? Awesome.
I did. I got some gas in Louisiana Tech. Took a tour of their aviation school there, and I went to the hometown where I was born, out in West Texas. So I landed in both of those spots. So.
I like that they told you after you bought the tickets about the whole delay.
I know, right?
It's a karma thing.
That is karma.
I mean,
it is a karma thing.
See you guys?
That's crazy.
Oh man.
It's insane. So, see, Mike, it doesn't always happen to you. It happens to us, too. Just maybe not RC related. Sometimes it's more in life. They always find out after the fact. Okay, wait, I bought the ticket. Now you're telling me I have to wait for 5 hours to catch my train? And literally, I bought the ticket because the train was supposed to show up in like 15 minutes. Because when I got there, it was like, oh, there's a train that comes by here in 15 minutes. And if you buy it from the conductor, it's expensive. But if you buy it online, it's cheaper. So I bought it online. And then the lady that's sitting at the train station, who, by the way, works for Greyhound, not the train station, said, oh, by the way, I went on their website, and it's delayed. So anyway, it was kind of a funny story. I was on the phone with Jay, and Jay was howling because he's like, oh, my gosh, it totally happens to you. So I was whining because I couldn't get out of the town. It was like Groundhog Day. Every time I went somewhere, they'd be like, oh, nope, can't leave. You're stuck. So, and I wanted to get out of there before the weather, hit, because the weather was kind of getting nasty. So, but I made it back unscathed.
Maybe I'll finish my painting my plane, because now it's got the fuse. I just got the fuse, and I don't know how much more, if anything, I'm gonna do to the wings. So, I just have the blue wing tips, and that might be the entirety of what I do to that. It's hard to. Once I put it together, I'll make a decision. Because the wings come on and off, so once I put it together, I'll make a decision about whether I really want to put more ink on it or not.
So I would look at, the leading edge of the jet is usually metal. I would look at actually painting it gold like your nacelles. That way it matches.
Okay.
You, so.
Yeah, I can do that, and that's reasonable. I'm just saying I don't really want to do much more design work. I'm not really excited.
Yeah, you don't
about
have to do much more.
Yeah. So that's a good idea.
Or or you can pick up some stars or. Something sticker-wise and put something on there.
Sure. Yeah, I may do that, but I don't know that I'm going to go with painting. The other thing I did was I got some jars or some containers to hold pre-mixed paint. It's like the whole mixing thing was becoming a real hassle to me, so I pre-mixed a bunch of paint. I hope that's going to be okay to it. I don't know if that's going to be a problem overall, but
no, it shouldn't be a problem. Just don't keep it outside in the heat.
No, it's inside.
Yeah. So I keep my paint in the refrigerator, in my little refrigerator.
Yeah, in this case, it's just in the house.
Time I came over to your house.
That's why you keep getting a blue tongue. Oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, it looks like our hour is up once again. We have talked a little bit about what we did this week, and I think next week or next 2 weeks, I guess, we'll try to have a topic because Mike will be done and. With his painting, hopefully, and we get the Holly Springs things coming up, so we should be able to get some good information here in 2 weeks. Well, I appreciate you guys joining us for the podcast tonight from Arizona. I am Michael.
And from the hills of Texas, I'm Jay.
This is AK Mike in Texas.
We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Let's fly.
You have been listening to the Park Flyer Podcast. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to your next visit. Please give our show a star rating and review, and feel free to email us your questions, topics, or suggestions to parkflyerpodcast@gmail.com.